Top of the morning to you. This is Monday with Friday, back with you for a great week ahead. What's a university with shallow thinking professors called? Recently, nearly 700 professors from the University of North Carolina, UNC, affixed their signature to a letter of protest citing as overreach legislation that requires UNC students to undergo courses that expose them to American history, particularly the origins of American society and its documents. Their letter declares in part, quote, "Our leaders continue to disregard campus autonomy, attack the expertise and independence of world-class faculty, and seek to force students' educations," notice the plural, "into pre-approved ideological containers," unquote. First of all, you don't need to pluralize the noun education. Now, the literary goblin that sits on my left shoulder wants me to describe this protest as abject gobbledygook, malarkey, poppycock, or some such other arsenic-coated rotten egg. Now, I cannot imagine what my worldview would be like had I, as a student at the University of the West Indies decades ago, not been required to study the history of the Caribbean as mandatory for graduation. That history exposed me not only to the Caribbean and its history, but necessarily to European and American history, given the Caribbean's inextricable historical links with those lands. Immigrants pursuing American citizenship are required to be familiar with American history, including the American Constitution, the so-called Founding Fathers, the Bill of Rights, and several other crucial data. I was required not only to know these things, but also to pass a test on these data before taking an oath which, based merely on the face of its verbiage, requires more of me than is required from persons taking the oath of President of the United States. I kid you not. Due to the failure of civics being a required course in either high schools or universities, an appallingly large number of born Americans appear to me to know too little about basic American history and civics. That nearly 1,000 university professors find a problem with writing that wrong is shockingly irresponsible. Disguising their protest as academic freedom is even more ridiculous. It is folly to think that an American is intelligent, being schooled in business or science, languages, technology, and much more, without any grounding in American history, culture, and civics. We're unleashing some dangerous people into our society. As well, these professors are dishonest. Every single university syllabus is pre-approved. So their complaint that requiring students learn American civics and history, quote, forces them into pre-approved ideological containers, unquote, is false, hypocritical, baseless, and even laughable. Next, what universities offer students is exposure rather than teaching. A worthy professor facilitates students' learning, wherein education means, in that context, helping the student draw out from their own selves what is already in the student's own capacity, own thinking, and own mind, rather than pouring anything into that student's mind. Perhaps those professors' approach to teaching is 13th century pouring things in, rather than 21st century drawing things out. Maybe they've lost confidence that their students can think for themselves. Maybe they need to learn that the certain route through which students learn to think for themselves is not to shield them as if they were eggshells from information somebody considers uncomfortable, controversial, or shockingly truthful as is much about the origins of American society. American professors who have a problem with their students being exposed to American history don't inspire confidence that they are serious about a rounded education. These ones manifestly demonstrated this when they failed to support or defend their erstwhile faculty colleague Nicole Hannah Jones of the 1619 Project fame when she exercised her academic freedom and was dismissed for it by the said University of North Carolina. Undeniably, citizens anywhere shall be more responsible thinkers than voters if they gathered more civic intelligence. More Americans should disabuse their minds that America is a Christian nation and that Christians deserve priority or supremacy. The antidote for that poison is an education in American civics and history. Persons steeped in Christian nationalism and supremacy are likely to be the same people who lack civic intelligence. They woefully lack the judgment to know that many of the people they help catapult into our three branches of government end up serving themselves and hurting America, including the very people who voted them in. More people, not fewer, and more students, not fewer, ought to learn more about the origins of American societies and everything beautiful and ugly thereof. So, what's a university with shallow thinking professors called? I don't know, but those professors surely are too parochial to even mention the word universe, let alone university. I am Michael Friday, and your week just got better. I'll see you again next week. Happy Monday, all the way to Friday.